All right, thanks for joining me for the great shakeup. We're really wanting to present this in a way that is appealing to so many people on a simplified level, but today's environment, inflation-wise, and all the concerns that people have with their health, I decided to put this together based on masterminding this with Lenny Evans, one of my mentors when I got into isogenics 18 years ago. So what we're doing here is getting people introduced to what really is the foundation of isogenics, and that is our nutrition, our meal replacement, superfood meal replacement. And it really does unite us as associates, and it really is the foundation of everything else that we do in isogenics. And so 2 shakes a day for 21 days, like we could profoundly change somebody's life. And 3 things that we're promoting here. 1, scientifically proven to improve your health. And we're going to talk about that here. And then also mathematically, we've experienced this, but mathematically, it's going to increase your savings on your food budget and so many dynamics and ways that it does that. And we'll get those across here as well. And then also, we know it takes about 21 days to create a new habit. And healthy people do healthy things every day. That's why they're healthy, right? It's not like accidental or happenstance. It's through consciously making the right choices, which are healthy choices. And we've really simplified that. We've taken something really profound and simplified it in this great shakeup and in the simplicity of the way, we consume this nutrition. So create a new healthy habit, those 3 things. First of all, should you worry about what's in your food? Absolutely. Some of you are already in the know about this. When I got into isogenics, I thought I knew, but then we have such a great educational part of isogenics and people who want to share the information that they're passionate about learning. And as soon as they started directing me to the documentaries, and as soon as I started listening in the seminars and being directed to the studies to read, it opened up a whole new world about what was wrong with our food. On a processed food and also on food that's being grown in our soils, like whole food. Like what could be wrong with whole food? Like it's whole, it's natural, right? Oh my gosh. Like when I started learning this stuff, it's like the theater was on fire and nobody else knew. They're just watching the movie, And I thought people need to be in jail. How do they even get away with this? And then, it comes down to special interest groups and money and greed and things like that. So should you be worried? Absolutely. And it's gotten exponentially worse since I started learning about this, like in 2006, 2007. And what's really like cool is influencers now. You know how we have influencers and social media? They're catching wind of this and they're helping like millions of people to see it in their little reels and in their little TikToks and things like that they do. And there's one that's going viral, like millions of people watched it within a couple of weeks, where the guy was talking about bioengineered food. And he said, it's in everything. He says, I was blown away when I went to the store, and he actually goes to the store and he grabs the cereals right off the shelf, and it contains bioengineered ingredients. And he was pulling off like keto cereals, like that are advertised as super healthy. And he says, look, bioengineered. And then he educates people and says, in some of your states, they don't have to put this on there. It's the same boxed cereal with all the same ingredients, but in that state, they don't have to put this label on there. So they don't want people to know this. And so there's some crazy stuff that I saw back in 2007 and 8 with chemicals and food colorings and things like that, high fructose corn syrup, that blew my mind when I went to the store and I actually saw it in the ingredients that were advertised as blueberries, like natural blueberries, but they weren't. They were called blueberry crunchlets in the ingredients. So now we have lab grown meat. This is going viral. This stuff is now going viral. They're making from printers. You know how you have 3D printers? They're using 3D printers to print our meat, lab grown meat. And they were saying now that in the food shelters, they're doing lab grown meat. It's not real meat. I just saw that today. In the food shelters where they're going, or not food shelters, that's not what they're called. What are they called? Somebody type it in the chat box there, where people they can't afford food. And so they go there, right? And it's lab grown meat that they're giving now. And then you have protein from insects, which is not healthy because there's things that are in the insects and in their shells that actually are carcinogenic. So this is way out of control. It's gotten exponentially worse than when I first got in and started learning about this stuff. So that's cool that the influencers are getting it out there. Now people need to know, what do I do in place of that? What can I trust? That's the thing I love about Isagenix is I do not have to worry about what's in it. These are some things that I learned back in when I first got into Isagenix. How many bowls of spinach do you think you need to eat to get the same amount of nutrition that used to be in one bowl in 2007? How many do you think you need to equal the nutrition that used to be there? Most people say like 4. I've heard 7. I think because the 7's on here, it causes people to say like 7. I hear that a lot. It's actually 51 bowls of spinach. Not a happy thought. And now it's about 75. And today, like currently, it's about 75 bowls of spinach. It's not just spinach, it's across the board. The soils and the nutritional content that was in the soil is missing. That's the decline. And this is the rise of diseases as a result. The different diseases are listed right there. This study says you can't eat enough fruits, vegetables, and grains to supply your body with the minerals it requires because it's not there. And the fertilizers they're using only has 3 minerals in it: potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen. Your body needs about 60 minerals. And so food, nutrition helps to fuel the body, also defend and repair. And they find now there's over 300 different chemicals, industrial chemicals in newborn baby's blood. If the mother who was carrying the baby was getting the right amount of nutrients, it would have fueled the body and the organs to defend and get those chemicals out before they ever got to the baby. So this is stuff that, like, ignorance is not bliss. There's a direct correlation with the challenges that are devastating in people's lives. So we went up against whole food in our clinical study, and I just want to set up for that slide when I get there. I think it's the next slide, where we went up against whole food and we totally kicked its butt. Why? Because with supplements, you could put the phytonutrients back into the supplement, and you could put the adequate amounts if that's your goal and your intention of the company that's making the supplements. But here's the thing, Isagenix did do that, and they didn't stop there. They put in other superfood nutrients that other cultures use that we've learned about and threw that in on top of. So what do you think in the clinical study? Who's going to win? The one that has all of the adequate amount of nutrients and more superfood nutrients that are above and beyond the essential versus the food that doesn't have the adequate amount of nutrients. Which one's going to win in a clinical study? Yeah, ding, ding, ding. We did. We totally did. So it's exciting. It's exciting to be able to use those supplements personally, and it's exciting to share it with other people. And when people get on our shakes, they're like, is there something illegal in this? Because I feel better than I've ever felt. And amazing things are happening. There's got to be something illegal, right? It's kind of an inside joke. No, there's nothing illegal, and there's nothing artificial, anything in it. And so it gets exciting, and people want to share when they feel like that naturally. Okay, so yeah, here's the clinical study. Dr. Paul Arciero did it. And he said, I want you to know up front, there was no NDA that I had to sign. There was no non-disclosure agreement. And he said, first of all, you have no idea how unique and rare that is, especially with a nutritional company. They don't want people to know if there's something bad that I find. And so they make me sign that I can only release what I say they can release. And there was no NDA with Isagenix. He says, first of all, that's a clue. Second of all, you guys, Isagenix in this clinical study outperformed whole food. Isagenix is leading the way in nutrition. It outperformed a whole food diet. We went up against whole food. There was 2 control groups, one that ate whole food, and they had to stay within that parameter. They didn't get to go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and Taco Bell. They had to eat from the grocery store. And then you had the Isagenix group, and 2 of their meals was that our shake, and 1 meal was a knife and fork meal from the grocery store. Not only did we beat them by a long shot, he said the body performed in such a way that we had never seen it, that I wouldn't have believed it had I not done this study myself. He has over 90 published clinical studies, and now and some of those are Isagenix. We have 19 clinical studies now with Isagenix. And this study was published and ended up in medical journals, as like the Distinguished Nutrients Journal, which is so well respected. I heard Dr. McCullough quoting, that journal just the other day. And then we ended up in PubMed, which the medical doctors look at. This study, it made him famous. He wrote a book about it. And he learned that the human body is capable of doing things way more than they had thought through nutrition. And so the great shakeup is the Neapolitan, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Get 1 canister of each. That's enough to do 2 shakes a day for 21 days. And you're totally going to save money. I think that's the next slide. But John Gray, he got on our shakes, and he's all about brain chemistry and relationships and how nutrition and supplementing will help foster a healthy relationship between couples. He got on our shake, and it blew him away what happened to him. And I'm not going to go into detail, but there was things that he was doing that he'd have to go out of the country to do supplementally to have done intravenously. And he said it would last for about 6 months, and then he'd have to go do it again because he had some challenges. And he says, I was taking about $600 worth of supplements every month. It was on my island in my kitchen. It was just always there. And he said, I got on Isogenics, and all of that, I saved $600 there, and it really became simplified. And he wrote about our shakes. He calls them happy shakes. He wrote about them in his book. And he's our number 25 income earner. We just had our yearly celebration, and there's a big wall, and he's number 25. He's made more money in Isogenics than all of his books combined. He wrote the Mars and Venus books. And he shared with Jack Canfield, who wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. Jack released 30 pounds on Isogenics. And he said everybody wanted to know what he was doing. And he said this was crazy. It was like selling $20 bills for $5. So if I said, hey, you give me $5, I'll give you $20. Would you take that? He said, that's what Isogenics was like. Everybody wanted it because what they saw happened to me. So again, more social proofs, kind of fun way to share, right? But the clinical as well. And you can go to isogenicshealth.net and read about our clinicals. 19 of them we have now. So pretty cool, right? So the great shakeup. Now let's talk about the savings, because mathematically it's been proven. So the average meal in today's inflation, I would say this is on the low end, because that Subway meal, it wasn't Subway, but it was like a Subway sandwich, better, was $17. Really, I'm spending over $20 if I really want to be health conscious and I'm going into a nice sit down place where somebody's preparing it, and it's a whole meal. So that's about and $4 for our best shake in Isogenics, the Isoline Pro. It's about $4.17 is what somebody said. So, but even like our plant-based is a little less than $4, like $3.80. So I'm being very fair in this comparison. So that's an $11 savings right there. So if you just did 1 shake for 21 days instead of that meal, it'd save you $231. But this is the great shakeup, 2 shakes a day, $462 savings just right there. Now, I don't know how, there are a lot of people that went out to eat probably for 2 or 3 meals. When I was mechanicking, all the other mechanics went out for lunch every day, every single day. I didn't, I couldn't afford it. I was a mechanic and I had 5 kids I was raising. But there are some people that will buy a meal every day. It's hard to buy a bad meal for $4. If you go to McDonald's, you're going to spend more than $4. This would be less of a savings, but you're going to spend more than $4 for a bad meal. So that's still pretty realistic thinking of 2 meals. So $462, that's a real savings. What happens in Isogenics though is your cravings change and your appetite changes. Your appetite, you need way less. Why? Because it's not about how many calories you're eating. It's about the nutrients that are going in and supporting the needs of the different organs of the body, especially the brain. And we know that the brain causes us to eat a lot of things that we shouldn't be eating when we get hangry. And that's why John Gray called them happy shakes, because it helps to produce through the nutrition, serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. There's other savings that happen besides just the direct savings from this right here. I haven't had a Rockstar energy drink since I've been in Isogenics, and that's 18 years. I used to drink 2 a day. In 15 years, I saved $24,000 not buying a Rockstar. I bought something else. Obviously, the universe abhors a vacuum. I spent that money on something else, but I didn't spend them on Rockstars. And there's other foods that I just don't eat anymore that were unhealthy that I don't crave. Before it was willpower. And willpower only lasts so long. but I don't need willpower anymore. Healthy bodies crave healthy food. That's what John Gray says. So what our goal and our objective is also with the great shakeup is 1 million blenders going off every morning. That will profoundly impact our country. And that's Jim Cooper's vision, right? We want to honor Jim and Kathy and John and really have this as an objective. And we can do it with the great shakeup, just getting people started on shakes. Very, simple process. So we could literally have 1 million blenders going off every single morning. That would be $1 billion company annually. 1 million blenders going off every day is $1 billion for our company. And they pay out 50%. So $500 million is going to go right back into our pockets for those that decide to share. And whenever you have a great, amazing experience, you always want to share. And so, again, going back to whatever's in this shake must be illegal. That causes people to want to share because of how they're feeling. And I just need to say here, this pop-up, every product, 30-day unconditional money back guarantee on every product. Eat it all, consume it, and decide if it worked for you or not. It's an unconditional money back guarantee. So when you decide to share, I do just want to get this point across. When you share with 2 people, I love this little visual because it so fits why we share Isagenix. We really do care. We want people to feel what we're feeling, and it's not illegal. It's healthy. This creates what we call 2 distribution streams when you share with 2 people. And so going along with the whole blender thing, when you have a combined blender, 1,500 blenders, on that one distribution team, a total combined, not just the people you share it with, everybody they share it with. Isagenix compensates you a little small percentage of every blender going off. It doesn't matter that other people shared to get those blenders in there. Every blender that's going off in your distribution that started with you and then you sharing with some people, 1,500 blenders on one side and 750 blenders total combined on the other side, no matter how they get there, that's $13,500 a month. That's $162,000 a year that you get to receive from Isagenix. They've never been late on a check. They pay every week. That quadrupled my income. I turned that into a weekly, you guys, because I'm so passionate about this. I just keep sharing and getting new people to share. I have over 400,000 people on my team. I've doubled that a week. Well, almost doubled that a week. Not quite. My highest week is $23,000 in 1 week. But look at that, 1,500 blenders. If you look at it that way, that's a very clear objective. Now, you don't have to share if you don't want to. You could be selfish and stingy and not share with anybody. But if you care, you're going to want to share. Now, that's hard to comprehend before you put this shake in your body. But after you put this shake in your body, you're going to understand totally what I'm talking about. You're going to want to share. So whether you do this or not, that's up to you. But you can't stop other people from sharing once you've shared, right? So that quadrupled my income as a mechanic, totally changed my life. All right. So I just ask you to get back with the person that got you here today, and they'll help you get started. Thanks for watching.